Okay, welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform talk show. Today is June 5th, 2022. Our topic of discussion today would be on youth and drugs. As we all could hear and could see around us, youth are struggling with drugs nowadays. The drugs, are in the wrong hands, and then the kids are using it as an abusive substance and take them off courses in doing, crimes, committing suicide, commit suicides, and involving all kind of, misbehaviors. So it's high time that our law enforcement officials and our government look into controlling abusive substances from, especially from the hands of our youth. Otherwise, we're gonna have definitely failures on their end. So we're gonna be discussing that. And our second segment of our discussion would be former VP, Fatma Tambajang, quest to make sure peace and harmony and between Ousainou and President Barrow. So some people are asking why now? Why didn't she get involved during the campaign? Some of the things that have been shown between the two, perhaps, and so forth. And what are the benefits of the Gambians on that? We have a lot of striking issues now that we need to concentrate on. However, having to waste, energy and time on that discussion is something that people are concerned. And people also say that we need opposition in the country. So what is the interest of those two big parties to be, together, to come as one, or perhaps have those dialogues? What is the interest there? Look, at the end of the day, somebody has to account the government. And then Mr. Ousainou Dabo's camp is one of those. Right. So I'm gonna let our panelists, Alice, to start the discussion, and Famara co-panelists also, and Sam and others could join us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Sawane. I think we have here with a very delicate topic to do with, and especially when we come to drugs and drug abuses and all these nonsense. They are very delicate and difficult topics. Even here in Europe, they are still fighting this problem, and with sometimes win, sometimes very little chance to win. And I mean, it's a topic disturbing our generations or the new ones coming, because the more you have it, for example, what we're talking about Gambia, nobody knows these tons of cocaines that came in, where they are still never known, and maybe some came before and they are it's saturated, in the Gambia. Nobody knows, because who is supposed to take care of those things, yeah, before we start, let us just start with the influences, for example, what influenced the young people, especially the youths going to school most of the time to take these things, also using drugs or drug abuses. It's a very delicate, I used to say it here all the time, it's a very sensitive age and delicate also. That's why I always protest here that Barrow should take care of our youths and give them the chance, and because it's a very, very, very sensitive age. Either you go right or you go left sometimes, and when they go left, it's always difficult to bring them right back. So yeah, coming back to the problems at this age, they have a lot of problems with coping. Coping with situations, for example. It starts already in the school, coping with the subjects, the school stress, and so forth. And then the second one is the pressure from the society. You can call it the societal pressure. you know, where they always try to look for a solution and taking the wrong one. So the next one, what causes them to also to be addicted, is also this is chemistry, brain chemistry problem. You know, like when they try something once, sometimes they are already addicted because some people are having that genetically. You know that when they touch something, they can be very, very, very quick to be a junkie or something like that. So these are the things what I see that most of them get involved, and most of them also have like reasons. They do it just because of frustration. They don't see any other chance. That is the age where they used to think of their future, you know, and it's an age where they need to talk with parents, where parents play also a big role here. Sometimes bad friends, you know, or they are victims of the society. That is in the Gambia most of the case, and most of the time they don't see any chance for their or a future for themselves. So these are groups who start such things because of frustration or because they don't have a help, you know, and parents don't take the time to talk with them, you know, which I used to advise, you know, maybe they are carrying a lot to talk to their parents, but they don't have the chance. Most of the parents don't even care about it because they don't know how important that is. When the kid can express or tell them what they are suffering from or their problems, their environment, you know. So these are factors what many parents don't even think of, you
Yeah.
know, till they start to take the other way, or sometimes even till it's very late, you know. They start to talk with the child, and the child is already spoiled, or maybe already committed suicide, because sometimes they can be very addicted that they can go to that extent, you know. And to be addicted is always easy. Sometimes you meet friends, some are having a problem with the school. Let's start with the school, the pressure with the school. Sometimes you can have a bad friend who will tell you, Famara, try this, you know, it will make you, you know, hyper, and it will make you clever even, you know, so the stress will go down. So as kids, sometimes they don't understand whether that is correct or not. They can believe because they believe it's a friend. A friend can only tell you something good, but sometimes bad, but they don't know it, you know. So then you try it once, and you see that you are okay, maybe. The next time when you are confronted with this type of stress, the first thing you think is, oh, what I took the last time. So here we go. You go and even if it is marijuana, you go and look for it because you think that your friend told you and you tried it and you think that that's the way. So you think that that will help you to put the pressure down the stress for the school. But through that, you can also come to a looping process that you will not even realize that you are there. That every time when you are confronted by this stress, you have to get that. You know, sometimes before they realize it, sometimes they don't even realize it. Before they realize it, they are already junks. Where it's even difficult to help. Sometimes they'll even go and commit suicide because they don't have any other alternative and nobody is talking with them. And our condition in Gambia, we don't have therapy center, for example, who advise such people, you know, when you are sick, you go to doctor. When you are wounded, you go to doctor. But for your brain, you have to go to a therapist. And this therapist we don't even have in Gambia. That's why for Gambians it's a very, 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 very dangerous thing. If we don't take care of these drugs coming there, it will be very serious because we don't have any doctors for that. We don't have any therapist or center where such people can go get advice or something. Sometimes parents can help. Listen to their kids what they are saying. Try to know their problems. Talk with them about it. Discuss about it. Sometimes it's difficult, but try, take the time. But sometimes parents themselves are facing a big problem that they don't even have time to talk with their kids, which is also a dangerous thing. Then kids will have a problem. The only person they can talk to is the mother or the father. But what happens when these people don't have time for them? They get frustrated, so they don't know which way. They can even go out and meet a bad friend who will tell them, oh, don't worry, here is something, it will, cool you down, la la la, and then they start. You understand? Or maybe they are confronted with another problem from the society, for example, that they feel inferior to join the society. They feel inferior to go to party, with their colleagues. They feel inferior. They don't have that courage. So when a bad friend comes and says, look, Mr. Sawane, here is a joint or here is something, you will feel hyper, you will be. So these are things, and kids want to join the society, want to join the club, want to join the party. So they'll say, okay, this is a help now. It will help me to have courage to join the party, to join my colleagues. And we'll try it once, which is also very dangerous. So then when he is weak or she is weak and happen to believe that if I use this, then I'll not be afraid to go to the party. I'll not be afraid to meet my colleagues. So anytime he or she wants to go to the party, we'll try that thing again. Because, it's psychology, it's also in the brain. So, but the danger in that is, some people can do it once and they'll never do it again. Or they'll say, oh, it was just a trial. I see that I was not feeling good. I know that it's not good, but the experience is enough. I'm out of it. But some people, they need it every day because they don't have any parent to talk to who can give them this advice, who can help them. So, and once they feel okay about this thing, then they'll be also addicted. You understand? So the next thing is people who are very sensitive. That is the scientific part again. Who are having this? It's a genetic problem. It's here in the brain. Some people can try it once and say no more. But some, when they've tried once, they're gone. You understand? They'll be addicted so fast. So, but that is genetic. You have different kind of people. Many are different kind of resistance and so forth. But the parents are always there. It's not easy. I'm a parent, but I'm lucky. I was having a woman, but still they also have their own cases and their own problems. But for young people, boys, that is also, the danger is big. It's very big for them. As a parent, it's your duty. Take your time. I've seen a lot of parents who were just standing there crying later because they didn't take the time to talk, to go too near to their children, to listen to their children, to know their problems, talk with them, open to them. I know this is not something traditional in the Gambia. It's not our culture, which is very wrong. Even as a child, if you come home, if parents are discussing, you should be very far away from there. If not, they'll say it's disrespect. I mean, it's okay. But after they have to listen to the child, invite the child to come to them. You understand? Talk to them. Talk to them. That's it. Don't give any barrier there. Because if they are afraid, they'll do things in the dark. You as a
engage
parent,
them. In other words, engage them.
That's it. If if as a parent,
I know what is going on with them, so that when they are suffering through, or what they are going
then
through.
you can help. You know,
Yeah.
then it's not late. Then it's not late. But many parents, they put this barrier till everything is burning. Then it's very too late.
Especially the fathers,
Yeah,
because the fathers back
that's
home,
it.
they are kind of at a distance.
Yeah, that's it. And we use power every time, and we use the stick every time. Sometimes we beat the children. They'll even be surprised because they don't even know what they did wrong. You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
they'll
good.
hit them nearly to death, and the child don't even know what he did wrong, what he did wrong. So these are the problems we have.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's more effective when you talk with the child, take a right timing,
yeah,
sit down. Don't if you tell them how do you feel, the answer is always fine. I'm fine. You understand? But as a parent, you have to understand. Sometimes if you come to the house, you see your child playing Game Boy or looking his nice series on the TV. That is the wrong time to ask, "Are you fine?" If you do that, the answer
so
is always yes, because they don't want to be disturbed at this time.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They tell you I'm fine, but they are not fine.
yeah,
So
very
this
good.
I'm fine, you have to
So
understand it. When they tell you I'm fine, you
yeah,
as a parent know that they are not fine. And
all right.
especially when the answer comes quickly, I'm fine. Try and know what is
Okay.
behind it. Take the time when it's free and then talk with them. And I'm advising all parents to take that time. So when we come to government, they should help with these centers and help such people, because we don't even have therapists and so on. Because I know that many of our politicians, they need that. I've been saying that since.
Yeah.
Nobody cares what we are seeing,
So
what they are doing.
yeah,
So okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you
That's
so
what we
much,
come.
Alas, for that, well-rounded summation on this topic. So we have Sam join us now, and
Sam,
Mfamara,
you can come
welcome,
in.
Sam. Mfamara,
Hello,
Mfamara
I
is
am going to wait until after all of you go through, then I can come in since I
yes,
came out
yes, yes.
last. So
Yeah, Mfamara
but
confirm it, and then we can, because this is a very interesting topic.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
youths and drugs. Yeah, Mfamara, you want to jump
Absolutely.
in quickly? Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting discussion. I think we should have this very often or every other week, because drug issues and drug-related crimes are becoming very frequent in Gambia, and it is about time that we put our heads together, and figure out what is the problem and address the problem accordingly. And then this is not only the responsibility of the government, but it's everybody. It starts from the community level. It starts from the family, because as a parent, if you see your child, into drug abuse, you should be able to take a step and address the situation as soon as possible, because it is something that if the child started doing, you will recognize from the behavior, and you recognize from the appearance. I mean, sometimes you can even smell these drugs, when somebody started using it. So we should not ignore it when we see it happening in our family. I know it is there. Every other family that you go, there's somebody that's doing drug abuse, And then when I say drugs, we're not only excluding even cannabis. We are talking about all range of drugs. That's where it all starts. Some of them start from cigarette to cannabis, and then they go to hard drugs. So something definitely needs to be done, and we expect our government, to take a very firm stand, on the issue of drug trafficking and then drugs coming into our country. Because what we have seen recently, I mean, it's not very encouraging from the side of the government, because the people bringing in drugs are walking free on those streets, And it doesn't mean that we don't know where they're coming from. Some of them have been arrested already. The drugs have been confiscated, or they know what they have been done, but we don't see any concrete, prosecution or action to be taken against those people. And then we see most of the time, they parade youths that are already arrested in our villages, with cannabis or bringing in from the other customers, bringing it to the country. We have seen a lot of that. But with the bigger ones are the cocaines and the hard drugs that are entering our community, in our country. And that's what is taking a big toll on our youth now. Because back in the days, like myself, I have tried smoking weed before. I smoked weed when I was going to high school, And then, it's because of peer, just like Alice was saying, sometimes you go move with people that are smoking it. And then all of a sudden, you tried it. You tried it once.
It feels good.
Yeah. The first day I smoked weed, I get off from school and then me and my brother used to share lunch, our food. I eat all of it. I eat the whole bowl of rice without even realizing it. And then the second time I tried it, I think that was a little bit stronger. I was dizzy and I thought my bed was falling upside down, And then later I started doing occasionally, but then I said, no, this is not something that it's not my way.
That's it. You save yourself. You save yourself. But
Exactly.
Some people are very weak. When they are there, they never give up.
Exactly. Back in the days, I come from Bruford. Back in the days, we used to grow weed in our backyard or in our shower rooms, or we used to grow them. We see, you go to somebody's backyard, you see a weed grown up there, and we harvest it. And I was going to high school then. Sometimes I would even buy this a pack of 25. When I go to Serekunda, because I used to stay in Serekunda. So back in the days in Serekunda, those people don't have good quality weed. So when I go to Bruford on the weekend and I buy a quality one, I will smuggle it and then, go to Serekunda, cut into small packs and then sell it out to boys in my street sometimes. We smoke. So, so these are all things that, it all starts from somewhere. And then because sometimes, you need some educational materials, or maybe you need something and you don't have the money for it, or maybe your parents don't have money for it, and you get engaged into that because you think it's an easy money to get something. So we get involved into that, all that, while we were young. But it is something that is not really good because it's not good for your health. It's not good for your mental well-being. And then if you over abuse it, definitely your physical appearance, your mental status can even change. And sometimes you even have that low esteem in yourself because, you definitely know that this thing is not good for me. Your physical appearance, you go somewhere, you started smelling and all those things. You don't feel that comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You know it yourself. So it's very much not very good. But we want something that we can all fight in our community, and all we can do is engage, the youths. Because sometimes you go to discos and programs, you see the youth smoking before they get into the disco hall, and all of that is related to, the problems that we fight and all the fighting and all the troubles in our bar and restaurants and even in the disco halls. It's because sometimes we oversmoke and then we're out of control. And, we go into something that is definitely unacceptable. Yeah, so it's a big problem.
What you said there is very right.
The cream of every nation is the youths. So the cream of our nation are the youths. So if the youths, greater number of the youths are engaging into drug abuse, then the future of our country is definitely going to be, not very promising, because we're going to have youths that are lazy. We're going to have youths that are not going to be very active. Probably they might not even finish their education, because if you get intoxicated a lot, or you're out of your mind, you cannot focus in class. You cannot be a responsible leader, and that sometimes the children that we brought up, or that even our younger brothers, they're seen us doing these things. They think it's something good when it is not, because sometimes we send them to go and buy it for us, or sometimes we go and buy a Riesler for me, and all those things. And then your brother or your younger brother or your sister or your child is seeing you rubbing that thing, you even smoking it in the family house. So all of that is having effect on the children and then the one we come. But the bigger one right now is the hard cocaine entering in our country. And the National Drug Enforcement Agency have a big role to play here. And we heard there are a lot of corruption in the system, that they will sometimes capture all of this, because I've seen one of the aspiring NAM candidate for Combo South, who used to be a legal advisor for National Drug Enforcement Agency. He was making a very strong revelation that even if you go to Senegambia area, the NDMA, the drug enforcement officers are not even allowed to operate in that area. Why? Because that's where the hard drug dealers are operating. So for some reason, either they are conniving with the drug enforcement agency not to be enforcing it there, or deliberately stopping their staff to go against those dealers in those areas. You understand? So there must be something going on. And then they are also playing part in the drug abuse in our country. They are also playing part in the crime rate in our country. They are contributing, because if you don't do your job, or if you find somebody who have broken the law, violate our laws, instead of enforcing the law, you decided to look into your interest by, accepting bribes from those people,
right?
And you allowed them to go, and that cocaine that you confiscated leaked into the in our society, and then somebody did it, and maybe somebody
after your own sister or brother is going to use it and die just because you got $10,
Exactly. So I mean, they also have that, they contributing, towards that damage in our society. And I think the president, the Minister of Interior need to be very firm on this. Anybody caught, please face the law. Jail them. Our borders need to be controlled. That large quantity of cocaine that enter in our country, it's not good for our country, because it has taken our country to a level where the Gambia is becoming one of those countries that drug trafficking and drug-related issues are becoming a problem. So we have to deal with this, Sawane. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Famara.
Thanks, Famara, and thanks, Alice. Definitely. Sawane is muted. I don't know if you noticed that, but
yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
I can come in if you'd like.
Yes.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, definitely. This is a very important topic, like Famara said, and unfortunately, I didn't get to see or hear what Alice said, but I'm sure once this is done, I will be able to watch it later on once it's posted. So, but thanks both, Alice and Famara, for your contributions in this very important topic. I think it is definitely important that we discuss this and bring some awareness to this, because drugs have a tremendous impact on society and in a country as well. So the government has a role to play. Every household has a role to play, just like you guys said. Every individual has to be responsible for themselves as well, and do all the right things to stay away from drugs and any kind of substance that can end up being abused, because like I said, it brings a lot of impact in the society. For example, people end up getting addicted to drugs, and when they're addicted to drugs, now it becomes very difficult to get off of it. Not only bad for their health, but bad for their family, bad for their communities, because when they don't have money to buy those drugs that they're addicted to, they end up stealing. They end up causing crimes, robbery, and really jumping on people and trying to get their money or assets by force, just for them to be able to go buy drugs, because it's worth that for them because of their addiction to this. So one, starting in the community, definitely community community leaders, and then youth activists. Really, we all need to take part in this by encouraging youths and deterring them from going into drugs, because drugs are very bad for them. I remember when I was a teacher at Bigelow School, I formed the Boy Scout troops there, and I was the scout master there as a founder of the troop. One of the things that we used to discuss in those days is, I gave myself as an example. I told them, look at me. I have never smoked anything in my life. I have never even been a cigarette smoker at all, let alone anything. So, and I tell them, stay away from those. Let's be as natural as long as we can, so that we can have a healthy life. You know, smoke in general, anything you smoke is bad for you. Inhalation is bad for you. So, and drugs in your systems are very bad for you. These are some of the things that I used to encourage the youth to stay away from. And I use myself as an example because I've never used any. And up to today, I've never used any drugs at all. And Farmer, I thank you for, saying what you said, because, that's the normal life for people.
He's a brave person. I've been told.
He was honest. He was honest, and he said it all.
It's very good. It's very good because when you experience something, you can tell the youth they should not be afraid to
typical
say
example. Farmer gave a perfect typical example of what Gambian youths go through, nowadays, and that's exactly what is happening in society. And I'm glad that he said all of that, because today he can be a mentor to those people and tell them the consequences of using drugs. Okay, so that is one thing. Now, but really, if we really want to fight drugs in our country, the government really need to step up and do their job by really enforcing the drug laws in our country. There are laws already about drugs. Our National Assembly can look at those laws and tighten those laws and even change or amend them if necessary to make them even tougher for people, for drug traffickers. Because if you see the youths getting drugs in the country or in town and using them, well, it's because it's available. If it's not available, they will not be able to get it. So National Drug Enforcement Agency really need to step up and do their job. And by enforcing drugs anywhere, no matter where it is, be able to capture these drug traffickers and stop them, and also stop drugs from entering any of our ports, the seaport, the airport, anywhere, any border that drugs can enter in our country. They need to do their job and step up and really do a proper enforcement to capture all of those and destroy them. And also, of course, capture not only the drugs, but the drug traffickers need to be really prosecuted for it and put hefty consequences for them, meaning long time in jail and prison for a very long time. So those people are never out again. Well, I won't say never, but they're not out again to do that because they are serving a very long time. I think that's where they need to focus on to get the big ones, rather than following the boys in the streets and then catching a little bit of a bag from them and make that a big deal. When you have a bigger fish to fry.
I don't know.
There is a bigger fish to fry. Look at the cocaine that entered our country, through the ports, and somewhere captured, somewhere not. So this is
they'll go after the youths with their small marijuana.
Yeah, when youths are sitting down drinking their attire and smoking weed, and then they go after them and then arrest them and then make it a big scene as if they are doing a big job. Well, the big job, the good job is go capture that cocaine that came in through, through our seaport. Go capture those individuals and take that cocaine, put it on national television and destroy it all. Let everyone know it's being destroyed. That's transparency. That's what the government needs to do. Put it on national television, call all witnesses, and go destroy it all, burn it all down. When you do that, you're showing the people that the government is showing the people that they're not part of this and they're not playing any game. Anything they capture, they will destroy it so that it doesn't hit the society. Don't save it for a long time. Yes, you can save the evidence, get all the pictures, get everything you need for evidence, but go after the individuals that bring them, or that brought them into the country, and hunt them and capture them, bring them to justice. That is important for the government to do and enforce. And there should not be any restriction for any drug enforcement, whether it's inside a hotel or above the sea level in Gambia, or outside the airport, anywhere. They should be able to enter anywhere. There should not be any restriction there, because those restrictions are indications of corruption, meaning their top leaders are corrupted, or they may have been involved in some trafficking, or some things. That's why they're telling their juniors, don't go to this place. Why discriminate? Why go to so-and-so place, but you can't go to so-and-so place? What's the problem? Consistency is very important in any leadership. They should be able to hit any hotel. They should be able to go to any beach side. They should be able to go to any seaport, any border, anywhere in the country, and be able to do their job and enforce a drug enforcement policy. Very, very, very important. So the government really has a big role to play here. Then we can focus on the society, how every head of household, what you need to preach at home, how you need to be observant to your own kids and the people, your family, the people that you take care of, the people that you oversee, to make sure that you're looking at their body language, their behaviors. And if you see anybody in anything like what Alice was saying, be able to notice symptoms very quickly and stop them. Very important. Notice the symptoms of drug addicts, symptoms of anyone doing drugs, anyone that is on the high side. Look at all of those and be able to capture them sooner. Now, the traffic enforcement officers also need to be able to catch these in traffic. They see vehicles speeding, reckless driving, or doing any kind of thing that's abnormal in the traffic. They need to be able to pull them and investigate and really look at them. If they have any suspicions of drug usage, they need to get those individuals out of the vehicle, conduct their normal tests, and if they are under any type of influence, arrest them, because they should not be operating a motor vehicle while they are intoxicated or while they are under the influence of any substance at all. So they can also do their part and be able to get a lot off the streets, not only capture those drivers, but be able to search their vehicles and see whatever they capture there, confiscate it all, go take it and use that against them in the court of law and prosecute them, then end up destroying all of that. I think, like you all said, there is a role to play here from the government's level to individuals at home, to the society. The society has a role to play as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So I think, we can just jump on some questions here since everybody has spoken. We are talking about, cannabis. We are talking about, cocaine. We are talking about all those or the abusive substances that are falling into our kids' hand. And we also spoke about accountability of drugs that has entered in our country. Still, there haven't been any clear, information on those. We don't know where those drugs, in the hands of, and there's no government hasn't come out and kind of arrest or prosecute anyone on those. So those types of questions need to be answered. Sam mentioned that there were some cannabis being burned out, but we need to see cocaine and other things getting burned, just in public face. So to be fair, right? So we can see that definitely they are taking care of the drugs, but nobody has bring out those cocaines and all those things, that drugs that went into the country and burn them, because why? They are burning things that are easier access, or perhaps belongs to the ordinary folks. Now the big drug dealers and then those who really are making money, their substances are not being accounted for. So why is that? What is it that we're talking about the government need to do? That's another question I have, to kind of fight against this and fight it fairly, not because we wanna keep the people on the streets. We want to keep the people on the streets from access to these drugs and selling them, but we also want to make sure the source of these drugs are not, are being blocked. Because if you look at some of this trafficking, they have to go through people at big places, right? At ports, right? People who are at higher offices, right? Because without that, they wouldn't be able to make it to the country, or to be able to make it to our populace. So before you fight the small dogs, start fighting the big dogs. If we're really serious about this, if we really want to make sure that we get this out of our kids, our youth's hands. So first, my question is, Famara, what is the role of the government in this, and how can they muscle up? Okay. My second question will go to Sam. What is it that, why is it that they're not burning other things, substances that, you know, we see that they're burning, and then these other ones that are actually more dangerous, they are not showing that, showcasing that to show that they are fighting drugs. And Alice, what are the responsibility of our families? What can they do more on their end to fight these drugs? Because we have just shown a young lady about 20 or under 20 who was hanging herself, I think from Biam or somewhere in the Combo areas. They found her hanging herself, trying to kill herself. And according to the news, the person who usually go with her, hang out with her, they smoke together and they do other things. So that is to show how impactful this use of substance is. So I'm gonna leave the floor. I have, you know, put out 3 questions, and then let's debate on that. And if anybody has,
I'm trying to check on the recording. I just have the information that recording has stopped. I don't know. Is your
Yes.
end? Is your
That
end,
is true.
Sawane?
Yeah. Let me work on that. Yeah, let me see why that is so. But go ahead.
I just got the information. So Pamara, you can comment. Pamara.
Yeah, the recording is back on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the question directed to me was about what the government can do. So what I'm going to say is, we as a country, we have good laws and that are protecting us as citizens and our country against any trafficking of illegal substances coming into our country. And we have also set up institutions that are responsible for controlling drug and drug-related crimes and abuse in our country. We have our security services that are also responsible for protecting our borders. So we have the institutions, we have the law. So the law is very clear. So what government needs to do is just enforce the law. When you caught somebody that illegally smuggled drug into our country, there's no, and you found the person, guilty, prosecute. There's no talk about that. There is no compromise. There's nothing like putting somebody on bail and all those things. You find him guilty, deal with him, because that's where it starts. And any civil servant or any security personnel that is engaging into drug trafficking, using their position or helping, aiding and abetting those people who are engaged in drug smoking, if you are found, you should be dealt with, according to the law. You should be taken out of your position. If you are a civil servant, you should be fired. You should be taken out of your position if you are a director of law enforcement agency or you're director of National Drug Enforcement Agency. A scandal of that nature needs to be investigated, and the report has to be available to the general public. People need to know what happened. And people who are found guilty should be prosecuted. There shouldn't be any compromise on that. Those countries like we have seen in Asia, Middle East and Asia, like the China and in Singapore, they are very strict when it comes to drug, because they know that the future of our country is at stake once we allow people to be bringing in drugs in our country. There is going to be a maximum sentences, prison sentences for that matter. And in some cases, people have to spend the rest of their life because of violating that, because it's very serious. Because one person, one Gambian gone mad, or one person go and kill somebody because you are under the influence of drugs, you are compromising. You are violating our laws, and then somebody who brought it in should not walk free. So the government need to take a very good stand on that. There is no shortcut, and the people accepting bribe, they should be dealt with according to the law. There is no mercy on that, because our future generation, your kid, my kid, are going to be, our life are not. Just yesterday we saw from Warsaw, Gambia, one of the a white person from the Netherlands, somebody robbed him, trying to rob him, and they put a rope around his neck, and then I think he struggled and got out of that. But since that happened to him, the person could not survive because of the trauma and all of those things. And we all know all this recent stealing and robbing and armed robbery in our country are drug related, because once you need drug, you have to go look for it. You know, like I've given an example of my own self. I've tried this drug before. I've tried cannabis before, and we used to steal. You know, if we don't have it, we used to steal oranges, mangoes. We even go collect eggs when our chickens are even laying eggs.
Just to get it, yeah.
Eggs and then sell it in the store, just to afford, because we are student, but we are not working, and then we don't have money. So you either rely on your family to get money. If you don't have it, you go and steal. You steal oranges, you steal mangoes, go sell them just to get a $5 a pack. You know what I'm saying? And then you go and buy this pack, go resell it again just to get money. Because that's how it is. You want to satisfy that bad habit of yours. So you will go extra mile, to whatever is available for you to get money, you will do it. Right. So this is why government needs to come in. Those big people bringing in drug, they should be prosecuted. Their assets should be seized. We should fine them in hefty fines. They pay it or they go to prison. In fact, they should have both jail and fine time. They should be fined. So the government needs to be very stern on that. So that's my take on that.
So Mfamara, before I go to Alice and Sam, one more thing, you have really so a thick skin here by demonstrating that and admitting that you have used some of these substances and then became a role model.
It's just one.
One, right? It's one, right?
Yeah, just one.
One.
Yeah,
okay.
It's better to clarify that here.
Yeah, it's better before they make our farmer a junkie. No.
It's not,
it was just one, and it was a light. It was a light one.
Actually,
I'm surprised.
What I'm driving at is that
I've not smoked before.
Yeah, Mfamara is now becoming kind of like it's an example, good example. I just want to know how did you get out of it, and what is the inspiration you can share with somebody in your position like right now?
It's not good because my father is a religious person. I don't even want him to know that I was smoking. None of my family members know, but I think somewhere I used to go with people. I was good at school, but then later on, I found that I was even dragging a little bit behind because I had to repeat Form 3 because I was dodging away from school, Muslim high school. Sometimes I'd dodge away from classes, and then we used to smoke even outside Muslim high school before we go to class. So sometimes we go to the Muslim high school, even in the toilet, we smoke there sometimes. Okay, but I just realized this is not good for me because what it did to me, misbehaving, like
spoiling your life.
Yeah, eating, and then also I would be hiding, sometimes, all of those things, because I was not that heavy smoker as well, because I just begin to start it, understand? And I realized it was not good for me, because I usually, when I do it also, my eyes goes very red, and somebody just looking at me can know this man is something. So this is not good for me.
Listen, you are a role model, by coming out of this and becoming the person that you are today.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that story because it takes a lot, if you didn't want people to learn, you wouldn't have said that.
Oh yeah. Definitely. It's not
all
good.
right, so we can go to Alice. Alice, you can come in and then Sam can comment with the other question.
Yeah.
About the parents' responsibility.
First, I want to thank Famara, and it's a good example and respect. He is very strong, at that age to say no, not this way, but this way. Once you know what you are doing is wrong, and you can correct it, which is not easy. That's why I said that at the beginning. Many people are very weak, you can say. They have very weak willpower to switch from something to say, no, stop, no more. Because all these things, in fact, Famara is talking from a very light one. The other ones are very heavy and very powerful. You don't just go out of it like that without therapy and all. These are things even Europeans are fighting here how to do it, and and it costs a lot of money because you need therapy centers. There are also doctors, like real doctors, to help such people. So for us with our joints there, la marijuana and so, it's still something light. But still, many people are suffering from it, from our young people. And many don't stop there, they go further. And the danger is, when it's easy to get in Gambia, then it's a danger. Thank you very much, Farmer, for your example. So when we come to the parts of, the part parents play, as I said at the beginning, sometimes kids hide, he give me now the host. Sometimes kids hide their problem. So as Sam said, you have to talk with them. Anything suspicious, talk with them, and that is something not every parent is doing. That's where the problem is. And sometimes kids they hide everything. Very nice, especially at a certain age. The poverty phase, they think that they are old enough to do their own thing, things like that. That's where the mistake is sometimes. When, as a parent, you always say, okay, leave him in peace, leave her in peace, or I myself, I don't have time to talk with her or to make problems with her or him. That is no problem. It's your responsibility as father. Even if you are going to discuss longer with him or her, it's your duty. I give you one example here. It's in America, I think. This person didn't have the time to talk to the son. Every time he asked the son, "Are you okay?" the son will also say, "Yes, I'm fine, thank you." But he kept asking. So at the end of the day, he traveled with the woman for holidays. So this small boy hung himself in the room and wrote a letter. "Thank you very much that you never have time for me." Just imagine. And the father used to ask him every time. No? And his letter is blaming the father that he never got time to ask him how he feels. But when you say you are fine, the father will think that you are fine. That's why I said here, if they tell you I'm fine, they are not fine. As Sam said, you have to be, when you suspect anything going wrong with them, take the time and take a very appropriate time, because they don't always have time. That's why I said, especially when they are looking their series or they are playing their games, that is a bad time. They never hear you. Even if you ask them, they'll tell you, okay, everything is good, but it's not good. But when you have time, you stroll with them, or you go for holidays or beach, where you have your space. You can even go to a cafe. You buy coffee for them, and then that is also a very good time. Because they are not in a haze or busy or anything, and you can talk.
So in other words, be part of your child's life.
Yeah, you have to, because you are the father. You bring them to the world. They don't know anything.
But in Gambia, we are not usually.
That's it. I know. The problem we have here also. They know that, but on the other hand, they don't have time because of the economical situation.
Yeah, they need to go and work.
They need themselves. They themselves have to, So, and then the child lag behind with his problems. Nobody is hearing what he's having or she's having for problem. That's the problem here. I know that we have two problems. The one here is they don't have the time to talk to the children till it's very late. And when they want to talk to them, they are already old. And they'll be very angry. They'll be even bigger than them.
Yeah.
I used to tell them, don't start telling them no when they are 15 or so. Start it right at the beginning. When they do something wrong, tell them, hey, look, that is wrong. But these people love their child so much that sometimes they don't even, they are afraid to tell them that is wrong. You understand? They always show them the side, the love side, the beauty side. I used to say that is wrong, because later you'll come back to the point and then it's too late. In Africa, they used to say this proverb, to bend a stick It's always better when it's green. I don't know whether you hear it before.
Yes. That's when you can bend it. If you bend it when it's dry, then it's broken. So you get
That's
broke.
it. So there's something in it, you know. That these are wise people proverbs, you know. They knew that, yeah, it's the best part to treat the child or to talk, to get engaged with them. You know, that's the problem here. I mean, in Africa, we have our cultural problems also, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, which is also a big disadvantage to children. I mean, or people at the poverty phase, because we don't even talk about that phase. We just always say your lack of education or your lack of how to call it, respect to parents, and you know, we hit on those things, but you never hear anybody talking about you are in the poverty phase. You know why? Yeah, because many parents don't know that the child comes to that point, to this poverty phase, and this poverty phase is very, very, very complicated for them and for the parents. For them, because they have hormonal problems, especially the women. They have a lot of hormones going around. Sometimes they don't even know what they are doing or something. They can laugh here, and the next 15 minutes, it's just like they are about to cry. You know, they don't control it. That is the woman part, you know, because they have a lot of hormones at this age going. So, and that's the age where they talk with parents and slam the door sometimes. Or even tell the parents, don't disturb me. So as a parent, if you don't understand that they are suffering at this place, you'll just like to go and hit them in the wall, you know, and which is very wrong, because they themselves, they don't know what's going on in their body. So as a parent, I would advise, always try to know, or go to internet, look at that poverty phase, 15, say, some says it starts with some people even from writing going, from 13 going, you know, especially 15, 16, 18, that is the, you know, going to 18, that is always the highest point, where they look different or act different or things like that. Doesn't mean that sometimes they use drugs, but they behave like, because they don't even know what they're doing. And that's also a weak point for young people to start any other nonsense. So even if it is stressful, parents should take the time, talk with them, engage them. You know, there's nothing like when your child commits suicide and leave you a letter like you never ask him or her problem.
Exactly.
It is for a father too painful, because you cannot correct it anymore. He's gone or she's gone. You know. So what we have to do in the Gambia is try to engage them, pull them towards us. You know, don't give any barrier. You know, we have that barrier. You know, I'm older than you. You should not talk with me. What is that? I'm older than you. You know, but when you put that barrier, your child will be afraid to even ask you a question. And as parent, you are doing the most disastrous.
So in other words, build a relationship. Let the child be, you know, be comfortable.
That's it. If they are comfortable, if they are comfortable, they love you. And when they love you, they respect you. When they respect you, they believe any word you say. So you can do this without even using any force or stick or shouting child or anything. You just have to know the way. It's very easy. Leave the nature to play his part. You as a father try to get them near to you, because you have to love them, and you should be proud that you love them. You bring them on this earth. They are your blood. They are your blood, one to one.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So,
thank you, Alice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, Sam.
Yes.
So
your question. Thanks for this too, and good timing here, since I today being the first Sunday of the month, I'll have to host my hometown call today. I don't know what happened, but it looks like my WhatsApp is either WhatsApp or my WhatsApp for some reason not functioning well, because that's part of the reason I was waiting for the link to join this call and didn't get any, and nothing is coming through for some reason. I'm not sure, but anyway, this is very important, and what Farmer mentioned, and same thing as Alice, very important stuff, very, very good stuff there. And like I said earlier, for my question, when it comes to leadership, transparency is very important. And I also mentioned transparency in one of the things that you will have to do in order to end corruption as well. You have to promote transparency. So, and in that case, when drugs and tons of drugs get confiscated from the country, anywhere in the country, really need to be held accountable. We need to make sure if they say they confiscated, say, example, 2 tons of drugs, we need to make sure that 2 tons of drug is there from day one up to the day that they're going to burn it. All those 2 tons need to be accounted for the day that they're going to burn them. So everybody knows that.
Or would they burn that with that kind of money attached to it?
Exactly. Everybody needs to know that 2 tons was captured, and the day they're burning them, they confirm.
I want to be there. I want to be there standing.
You want to be there, right? And that's where the media comes. That's where the media comes. The media represents the people. Media needs to be there to confirm that, yes, this is exactly 2 tons that they talked about a year ago or 6 months ago or 7 months ago when they captured it. So that transparency should be there. And it really need to be burned with witnesses there, and including all the media need to be invited to it. They all need to see it, and they all need to publish it correctly on their newspapers. Radio and television stations also need to publish the same consistent message. Everyone, each and every one of them should be able to say, yes, it's 2 tons. The same 2 tons that was captured 7 months ago is what they're burning today. So everybody knows nothing has been taken out, nothing has been hidden anywhere, and no one has any hands in it. That's one. So transparency is very important for the government side. But at the same time, the government need to hold themselves accountable. Any government official, any public official that was involved in any kind of scandal really need to be thoroughly investigated and prosecuted if necessary. If they are found that there's some truth to it, it needs to be investigated. If they found all the evidences, they need to prosecute. And I'll give you an example. For example, there was a time, I think a year or 2 ago, a couple of years ago, that the director of NIA's vehicle was found with some drugs in it. Some people were driving with some drugs. That is, to me, that is a no-brainer. The director of intelligence, National Intelligence Agency, he should know everything. He should know where his vehicle is going. He should know who's driving his vehicle, who should be in it and who should not be in it, and what was in that vehicle. He should know all that. If not, he should not be letting his vehicle be out, because he is a very high prominent public figure. All right. So someone in that position is a very high caliber person that's in our government. That person's vehicle cannot be out roaming the streets with drugs in it. That is a very, very, very serious crime. It's one of the worst serious crimes you can think of. Think about it. The National Intelligence Agency director. I mean, this is the one that should have all the intelligence, have all the information that he feeds the president, and and know everything. So it's supposed to know everything. So if that person's vehicle was caught with drugs in it, I mean, that to me, the president should really take immediate action. He should demand for immediate investigation into that and find the truth, get to the bottom line. If it was true that the vehicle actually had drugs in it and the director of National Intelligence Agency was aware of it, he should fire him. If I were the president, I'll fire him, no matter how important he is, no matter who the person is. Everyone can be replaceable, right? So if I were the president and that happened on my watch, I will get rid of him right away. Right away, I'll get rid of him. Now,
not only get rid of him,
that he didn't have anything to do with it, well, then what needs to happen is, number one, I'll still put some disciplinary actions for it. Why would he give his vehicle to someone that caused that crime? So that person needed to be arrested. They need to be prosecuted and put in prison for that. And then if I were in the government, the disciplinary action I'll take against that person, I will really even take that vehicle from him. That's it. Give him one vehicle, and this is what you get when you don't take care of government vehicles. So that will send a very strong message to everyone in the government, if you're assigned to a government vehicle, you better watch out. You better be very careful. This vehicle is Gambia government's vehicle, is the taxpayer's vehicle. They gave it to you for you to do your work. That vehicle should not be loitering our streets and should not be carrying drugs and going somewhere. So is that kind of message you send to all public officials to be able to really watch what they do and also take good care of government assets. Very, very important. So examples like that should be set. But like I said, at the end of the day, transparency and even all of those investigations should have been investigated and also, like I said, taken to court and put out there for the public to know exactly what happened. People need to know. You know, in Gambia, a lot of things happen and they say it's going to be investigated. Then nobody hears anything about that again.
Right.
Later, we don't know.
Exactly. It goes down on the carpet, under the carpet.
Right. And that's
Fine.
not transparency.
You have to understand that in Gambia, justice is done underneath.
Well, and that's not true justice. Then that justice system need to be dissolved.
Justice is done when it's dark. So then you at the end you don't know.
well, yeah. So this is one of the things that the president should work on. He wants to build a good reputation for himself. He wants to build a good legacy for himself. That's part of the reason he changed his cabinet. That's part of the reason he's doing some of the things that he's doing. That's part of the reason he's talking about some of the changes that he wants to make and he wants to do. So he needs to hold himself accountable and hold these people accountable.
Right.
And get things done the right way. And don't look at, even if it's your own brother. If I were a president, my own brother, the same mother and father, if he does something wrong, I will make sure he faces justice. Yeah, that's how transparent should be. That's how serious you should be. That's how anyone should set an example, because you need to make sure that your legacy is protected. So if I were the president, that would have been investigated. We need to get to the bottom line, and it cannot be pushed under the rug. It needs to be thoroughly investigated and dealt with accordingly. Anyway.
So So final question. Final question. How does the foreigners have, anyone can answer this. How does the population of foreigners impact on this? Because what had changed in Gambia over the last 20, 30 years is the influxion of foreigners to the country. While most of the youth, or I can say half of the youth population has also migrated to other countries. So to fill that gap, we have getting half of the populations also, migrating to the Gambia. So how does these newcomers from new background, from different countries with different mindset, with different business ambitions, has to do with the drug population and getting affected, our kids affected? Anybody can answer this.
I'll get in here because I'm about to get off here, and then Alice and Pramara can continue. But my take on that is, again, consistency. Consistency is very important. If Gambians in the US or Gambians in Germany or Gambians in Italy, Gambians in France were caught with drugs, all right, what do? They will take them, arrest them, prosecute, put them in prison. At the end of their jail time, what happened? They send them back home. That's exactly what I would do. I will, if any foreigner get caught in Gambia with drugs, any type of drugs, whether they're selling it or smoking or doing anything, if they get caught, because we want to send a strong message that this is not the place to practice that in our country. We want to keep our country drug-free. If you are from a different country, you want to bring drugs to our country, we catch you, we're going to take you and arrest you, prosecute you, put you in prison, serve your term, put you into hard labor, send them to my Jahal Pachal project to go cultivate rice for the country. Let them do all of that. And then at the end of their term, guess what? They are sent back home. That's it. They will never get a chance to sell another, to even walk on Gambia Street. From jail, straight to the airport, ship them home. That's all I'm going to do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We can let you go, sir. We can let you go and take care of.
Thank you all.
Thank you. So, Alas and Pramara, what do you think about, war on drugs in Gambia? Is there a war on drugs? or it's just your lyrics?
Yeah, in Gambia, that is very difficult to fight because of what? Because you cannot fight that without corruption, and we are unfortunately in such a situation that you can hardly get somebody who is going to be very clean like you and Famara to say okay, because if they get their packages of money, then the door is open, and it's unfortunate that only 4 countries have that problem because. Many of our officers also don't want to accept the situation they are, that they are poor and Gambia is poor, and they have to accept it somehow. If they don't want to accept it, they are corrupt because they will be taking such monies. You can even have parties, political parties, where they know that that is the drug dealer, but the fact that he is sponsoring them somehow, they never talk about it, and he is welcome. You understand? So that's where the corruption starts. So what do you think about the poor policeman or the poor person at the hotel? What Farmer was saying. These people are weak for it. So there must be somebody who is going to say, I F the money, I don't want to say the word,
No, we understand.
I am going to secure my country and my people.
Country interest first, right?
That's it. But they know that some people are weak for it. They'll just come and give you. And they know that when they give you, you take it because you are hungry. But still, if you are hungry, you have to think of God is looking at you. You have to think of fighting for your country and not yourself and your money. And these monies, if you look at it at the end of the day, you cannot be proud of it. At the end, I don't know what, but through my experience, you can even build a house from it or a mansion. One day it will go, just like that. So people say it's Satan money. Yeah. People say it's Satan money because these are because you cannot kill people and get that money, and then you think that God is going to leave you to live in paradise with that blood money. People are just fooling themselves. That is Satan money. So I would rather take my $2 in my pocket and know that I can sleep. I don't trouble anybody, and make sure that I'm comfortable with it. I'm satisfied. Then you are okay. The happiness, they used to say, the happiness we are all after is always behind the door. You just open the door, it's there, because the happiness doesn't mean that you are a billionaire or you are a middle person or you are a poor person. You can be even poor and happier than the billionaire, So people need to understand life. Exactly. That money doesn't give you happiness all the time.
Thank you. So our final point here is Mfamara, and you can jump on this and Alice as well. We have seen the former Vice President, Fatmata Tambajang, trying to make a mediation between Ousainou and President Barrow. He said it's a call of God's call. And a lot of people in the social media are saying, why now? Why when Barrow and was campaigning, saying words like Bibi Dabo and he once mentioned that Bibi Dabo and Dabo, the two Dabos, they are hot water, they cannot cool each other out. So lyrics like that, and nobody did condemn the president during those campaigns. I know it was campaign time. So what is the interest? What interest do we have to have a mediation between them two? And secondly, we need opposition in the Gambia anyway. If you look at the, if you want to make the two major parties come together, then who's going to be the opposition? Who's going to check on one another? So it is in the interest of the country to always have an opposition, divergent views. So people are coming with all kind of, criticism, saying that the former vice president's action is probably politically motivated or something behind, because why now? Why would why would she come out now? And then what is it for us, to waste our time even, going through that? What is your take, Vamara, then Alice?
Thank you, Sawane. I think she said it was something she dreamt about, or was that something like, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I dream about many things, trust me.
yeah. So I mean, it's a step in the right direction, because definitely the situation in our country, especially between political leaders, it's not very good. I mean, it's not very good. They need to mend those bad blood that went through them, so that our country can have peace and we can settle down and focus on national development. So if she wants to take up that challenge and lead that role, definitely it's a step in the right direction, because she is somebody, a public figure in our country. She was a former vice president. And also when this coalition was being formed, she was part of that coalition. So she knows exactly where Barrow come from, because Barrow come from that political party where Ousainou was, or Ousainou is still the leader of the UDP, and then Barrow was also part of the UDP, and then when that situation happened, so everything happened in her presence, because she was very instrumental in the preparation of the MOU, which brought us to the coalition. And she served as a vice president. After she left, or she was, taken out of office, Ousainou took over her position, and then all what happened since then, and all this political thing that happened after the 2021 December election, she knew everything. Yeah, so just like you were saying, and many people are asking why now, because I think we should not just wait until when a problem occurs, we try to resolve it. But also when the problem is about to happen, or when it occurs, I think that's the best time to ask for reconciliation. And maybe sometimes at that time might not be a good one, because we are approaching elections, everybody is busy, trying to do their own thing and trying to, campaign, sell their own political agenda and all those things. But that's the best time. When a politician does something that is completely wrong, I think that's when we expect our leaders to come out and say, this is absolutely wrong. Speak about it, and, and then, highlight the issue. That's when we know definitely the leader is really want to take a serious step in addressing the problem. But if you wait until it's finished, yes, it's still not bad to bring people together, but already the damage has been done, because the person who was doing that thing maybe think that he was doing something sensible, or maybe he was thinking he was doing something that was good, when in the actual sense, we all know it was not good. And then also, I want to say, like the president used to say, in a political campaign, you can say anything. I don't think that it also is good. You don't say anything in a political campaign and then later come back and apologize, And there are a lot of things that happen, like we heard from Honorable Dembo by force on a political platform, and which some of us are not part of UDP, but I'm a Mandinka. When I heard somebody using that kind of platform in the presence of the president or head of state that we all look forward to, because he's the president of our country. I'm not part of UDP. I don't support any political party in Gambia. I don't belong to any political party. But if I see somebody using my tribe as an example of being hostile to other tribe in our country, because we definitely know he's using political, he's trying to score political scores there. But the moment he used my tribe going against other tribe, definitely I would be offended, because my wife is a Fuller. It's not a Mandinka, it's a Fuller, and his grandfather is a Jola, and then his other great grandfather.
We are all connected. We are all interrelated.
So I think that was not correct. I think Barrow should have stopped Dembo by force at that point and tell him, no, I don't think this is correct, irrespective of we have a different political views with the UDP, but I don't think this is what Mandinkas are, because Mandinkas are very tolerant people. We are very welcoming. We are very accommodating. Okay, you might find some one or two people that might say something about other tribes. This is what we need to address the situation. So you don't just say anything on political platforms and you expect us to come back and apologize and say this one. So I think this is what Fatimata Tambajang should have addressed from that point, to say, I am a Fula, I disagree with what Dembo Byford said, that Mandinkas are hostile to Fulas, or Mandinkas are hostile to Serials or Manjagos or Wolof. That's what Fatimata should address. But if she doesn't do that, and now she realized that our country, because Barrow comes from the UDP, and then Barrow is UDP, Ousainou Darboe's political son, and then they all work together up to Barrow has said a lot of things when Darboe was in prison, when he was campaigning to become a president or the coalition leader. We have heard all what the good thing he said about Darboe and his political party. So now, and if he wants to come, Fatimata wants to, Honorable Fatimata Tambajang wants to amend that, because he has seen something that Barrow has did, and he has did something also maybe Darboe did that he should not have done. And he wants to reconcile the two as political father and son to come together for the sake of our country, so that this political brouhaha that is happening between the supporters of these two great leaders of our country can stop. We focus on national development. So I think Fatimata, we need to listen to her. We should not reject her proposal, and we should not stop her from pursuing that step in the right direction. I think we should. But like we're saying, why now? Why now, when you should have done something before? And then this is what the question is. Unless we know why he wants to pursue them, and then, brought out the justice and all those political things that happened in the political campaign, and even after the elections, what happened to Darboe and his supporters, they should all have condemned that, because we have seen the paramilitaries that were parading themselves on the video saying, hey, UDC folks, I'm ready for you. This is what we are going to do for you. I mean, that's not the job of a security officer to do. Exactly. And we have seen deliberately, they have fired tear gas in Darboe's house, even though the supporters were
under the former vice president didn't come out and mention anything.
Yeah, and say that. Yeah, and we all know that if Darboe came out and said the paramilitaries, what you did was wrong, and then call out and even go out on the street, it could have been chaos. But the old man was so patient. He didn't call out for anything. He always said, let's follow the process of the law. Let's do that. I'm not the UDP, but I think he exercised a lot of patience there, because people were ready to go out. I can tell you that if Darboe endorsed or Darboe came out on the street, it was going to be very fatal. But the old man was very patient with all what happened to him in his house and all what the paramilitary did. The guy was patient. He didn't call out for anybody to go. He, in fact, condemned some of the UDP supporters, what they did, especially that the person in Busumbara that was calling for, I think, a Rwanda type, whatever. They came out and stopped all those things. And these leaders were in the country. They've seen what happened. Nobody told Barrow and the security officers that what you did was wrong, because they didn't even demonstrate. They were even converging at the Darboe's residence, trying to see what to do. And then all of a sudden they started dispersing them, throwing tear gas in that. So, and then our president is here. We have seen all what happened to 3 years Jotna, what they were trying to do,
But the 3 years Jotna, the president even mentioned that that's why he ordered
water on them. So all of those, I think those are all mistakes that happened that Fatimata think they are wrong, and they think he wants to amend, especially Darboe.
He did not just do it at the right time.
Yeah, he didn't do it at the right time, but doesn't mean that what he wants to do is not genuine. He could have a very genuine reason, and right now, because like you see, all this political brouhaha is between NGP and UDP.
Do you think that he just want to score a point of recognition or a point of credit by just jumping and then trying to get this issue taken care of?
Well, somebody must do the job anyway. So if he wants to do it, I would not even say it's a recognition for her, but the reason why he wants to do it, I think that's more important here. Of course, if you're leading a negotiation like he did at the coalition, I mean, she was famous. We all applaud our efforts, because that's what we wanted to see, political parties, oppositions come together so we can get rid of the dictator that was happening there. Everybody was that. We're all happy about it. So if she wants to do the same initiative again, definitely I will not look at as a recognition part, but the reason why he wants to do it, which is to unite the country. And because Barrow definitely know that with this atmosphere in our country, we are going to get distracted if these two leaders are not united. If they are not united, it's going to bring more problem in our country, because now we have seen that the people who were denying Barrow himself to be sworn in our country are now back into the system. You know,
they are recycled back to the system.
The very people that were saying Barrow has stolen the election, or Barrow, they did not recognize Barrow as a leader, and then they went around and then get close to him. And Barrow even mentioned some of them. He said, the speaker of the say, if you want our support, you have to get rid of Dabo and his people. You know, and those are all clear messages that Barrow himself repeated, that you know, the Fawakari and the other people who are on the other camp. If you want us to work with you, you have to get rid of so and so. You have to get rid of these people that you can succeed. Now those people are in power now, who never voted for Barrow in the first place, and they stood against him, and they even recognized him that he has to even go and get sworn in Senegal. And the same people that come back now very close to him. So the people that Barrow was praising, that they were heroes of our country because they stood against Yahya Jammeh, are the people now are the bad people. So I think we have to correct that mistake somewhere. I think Fatoumata's intention might be genuine. So let's look at that area and see what she really wants to achieve here, and then work together and unite the country, and then move on. I think we listen to her. I think we should listen to her.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Famara.
Thank you, Famara.
And Alice, you can just, give your opinion and we can wrap up.
I mean, Famara said almost everything, but for me, yeah, what do I want to say? Everything is good, everything is okay, but the way our democracy is at home, I think we need to set everything better, because as Sawane said, some people are saying that there will be no opposition. That is already a point, where people will say, when these people go together, and who is there to say, not this way, not that way? That means there is no opposition, which is also not good for the people.
Exactly.
You understand? Because there must be somebody there to say this is wrong. And that has nothing to do with whether he can go with Barrow to a cafe or anything. It's democracy, when they want that, they can do that personally, but not for the interest of the Gambians and the Gambian offices. In our offices, we have to deal differently. That's where the problem is in Gambia. It's all about emotions and religions and whom do you know, and that's why, and that is delaying us. That is putting us far behind. We never try to deal with the point and the purposes. You understand? Dawa is an opposition leader. He can concentrate on his party and his agenda, on what is his duty, to come out and say, Mr. Barrow, what you do here and there is wrong. You should do it maybe this way or that way. And that is what people like Madi Jobate is doing. He's having no party. It's not their duty. That's what we are doing. We have no party. It's not our duty. That is what Famara is saying. It's not his duty. These are all duties of the opposition parties, opposition leaders.
Right.
But it seems as there is none there. So maybe you say, Ousainou Darboe, yes, it's okay as opposition. We have the others also. But after the election, they all disappeared, as if they all just wanted to get the presidency, and that was it. So Gambians are disappointed in this case also, because they saw these Gambians that you people are fools. I just wanted to be a president. So I'm not the president. So why do I have time for you people? But anything you say, Famara, anything Madi Jomate say, anything any ordinary Gambian say, concerning the country, concerning what Barrow is doing is wrong or correct, it's the job of the opposition. So for me, I have that problem when I hear that this lady want to uh, I don't know, file between Barrow and how to call it, Dabo. I don't see any reason inside. They can do it private, personally. It's their thing, but not the interest of the country. The interest of the country now is to have a good opposition who can see the other angle of what Barrow is doing and voice it out. That is opposition. If they don't know their duties, that is the duty of opposition. I know that unfortunately we don't have it in the Gambia, but that's their job, that's their duty. Also, the parliament, the people in the parliament. That's why I cannot comment much about it because I can only say that we have to leave Barrow now because he's now dealing without coalition and everything. That means anything wrong, people will say Barrow's government. It's a big responsibility now. So for my advice is, we let him concentrate on his work. Let us not try to, how to call it, to distract him with any other political issues and I don't know, because we've already lost good 5 years just because of such theater. Yeah, being Dabo, being opposition, being minister, being, kicked out on, all those, that doesn't bring Gambia any further. We have voted, people have voted. Let us see the person they voted or we voted, his practices. Then we say, okay, next time maybe you are out. And that's it. We should not, even if an opposition want to criticize what he's doing and so, it's part of politics. It's democracy. But that doesn't mean that it's going to delay us. Gambia is delayed up to the last angle.
Yeah, thank you.
We should stop that. So for me, I see no reason
yeah.
and any importance.
I think these 2 points are all. This is why we have this kind of discussion. Allah's point is also a good point. And of course, Famara's point is also good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying it. However, right now we need oppositions too. You don't want these two people to be, two people to be distant. So, yeah, to say, okay, we're not gonna criticize each other. That's not good interest for the country. So, yeah, thank you so much for that input, Alas and Famara.
Thank you, Famara.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, the recording
welcome.
part, is cutting off, but it does have to do with my computer space. I will clean that up.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you both, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, I would say.
All right, thank
Alas,
you.
get me that shirt, please. Get me a copy of that.
Yeah. Then I have to tell the person it's from Togo. I love it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Take care.